The views of the Ukrainian pedagogue, innovator, writer and publicist Vasyl Sukhomlynskiy, who lived in Soviet times, continue to amaze people in terms of their applicability and relevance in the present day. He spent all his life working in school, wrote over 600 articles and about 30 books on education, and made a major impact on the development of the branch of national pedagogy. He was one of the first to say that school grades are not a stimulus to learning. The teacher encouraged young fathers to take care of their newborns the same way their mothers would. He also noted that school does not teach a person how to live. Knowledge of mathematics or physics has never helped anyone to build a strong family, which is why the subject family, marriage, love, children was introduced in his school. He dealt with improving a daily regimen for school children and invented effective methods of doing preps. Authority didn't always like his system of educating a free personality, therefore he was forced to cut corners to promote his concept. Primarily, this is the key point of his phenomenon and a paradox of the very figure of Vasyl Sukhomlynskiy and his system. The fact is that he defended a diametrically opposed perspective to pedagogy, seeing as Soviet pedagogy took a total authoritarian approach.
Оскільки педагогіка радянська – це була педагогіка авторитарна.
On the contrary, Sukhomlynskiy developed unique methods and through his practical experience showed the humanism of pedagogy. One day he said the following words, "I have never in life belonged to myself." I think that these words reveal a few important riddles to us. Simon Soloveychik, one of the best experts and researchers of Vasyl Sukhomlynskiy's works, said once that Sukhomlynskiy's pedagogy is pedagogy of a world-class level, and he is as mysterious as the whole pedagogical system of upbringing. Basically, Vasyl Sukhomlynskiy's system of pedagogy is sometimes considered by experts to be the pedagogy of the future. He was a candidate of pedagogical sciences, an academician who probably never set the world on fire. He wrote things that were shown in practice as a teacher and as a school principal. The well-known teacher came from a poor Ukrainian peasant family, which lived on the territory of the present-day Kirovohrad region. He was born in 1918. It was the year of the end of the First World War, which downplayed the leveled human life on a global scale. It transformed the tragedy into statistics and radically changed the scale of morality in society.
Перетворила трагедію на статистику і радикально змінила шкалу моралі у суспільстві.
And it happened so that he was living in a country that became the scene of such a socially horrific experiment, which similarly to the mythical Moloch rewound millions of human bodies and souls.
Перемолов мільйони людських тіл і душ.
There were 3 more children in the family, and oddly enough, they all graduated from the Poltava Pedagogical Institute and became village teachers. Although people thought he was from a poor family, there was an intellectual atmosphere in it. For example, his grandfather Omelian had a huge library. Noticing that he had certain aptitude, his mother supported his interests. He started his pedagogical activity at the age of 17, which was interrupted during the time he was studying or was warring on the front, where he was seriously wounded twice. Due to injuries sustained during the German-Soviet War, Vasyl Sukhomlynskiy was treated for a long time in a hospital in the Ural. He asked to return him back to the front. However, the medical commission didn't allow returning soldiers to the ranks of the Soviet army. As soon as the native places were liberated from the Nazi occupants, Sukhomlynskiy returned to his homeland. In 1948, he was appointed for the directorship of a secondary school in the village of Polish in Kirovohrad region, which he led to the end of his life. With daily experience of communicating with teachers, school children, and their parents, he got the opportunity to test his theoretical conclusions.
Внесок його надзвичайний в
His contribution to the study of the sphere of a child's inner world is indisputable. Thanks to his artistic methods and various techniques, he showed how his pedagogical model works in the 1950s and 1960s.
Показав, як працює його педагогічна модель, створив у провінційній українській школі.
He created what we now call an educational industrial plant in a provincial Ukrainian school. Moreover, he created this system with his own hands, with the help of local enthusiasts. These were greenhouses, planted garden, laboratories, and 36 different clubs. Sukhomlynskiy built this process of learning on that basis of satisfying work. He showed great interest in the formation of a worldview in students' minds and the development of their abilities. He advocated such ideas that were not very popular at the time. For instance, what an adult and a child should have the right to their own opinion. They must definitely choose the interest to which they're inclined from birth, that is, in the so-called pedagogy of equality, where everyone had a common pattern. They marked each person individually and believed they will develop. Therefore, first and foremost, Vasyl Sukhomlynskiy assigned an important role to a teacher who has to love his or her work and students and to have an artistic style of presentation of a humanitarian educational material. I would say that in the main idea that can be seen in his creative works, it is quite obvious that this work had to be his own. To some extent, it would be possible to throw a bridge into the thoughts of Grigory Skovoroda, who at one time wrote that everyone should engage in congenial work, that is, to engage in work that is in the soul of an artist.
Сухомлінський, по суті справи, зробив дійсно таке
Sukhomlynskiy, in fact, made such a Copernican discovery. He introduced such a law that the main thing is not to cultivate the political elite, but set a priority for teachers, who indeed determine social progress.
Наданий учителю, який і визначає суспільний поступ.
In the principles of the education of Sukhomlynskiy, a leading role is assigned not only to wise and talented teachers, but also to caring parents who together had to ensure the unity of the school and family. The book of his life was a 2-volume edition, I Give My Heart to Children, in which the experience of 30 years of this outstanding teacher was collected. Vasyl Sukhomlynskiy shared in the book his thoughts and how to raise a child's interest in gaining knowledge and striving to beauty, how to teach one to work with pleasure, evoke a desire in them to become a highly moral person. But the book was not published right away. The Censor Bureau delayed it for many years. In 1974, he was awarded the State Prize of Ukraine posthumously.
Сама головна його праця
The publication of his main work, I Give My Heart to the Children, was held up for some time in various editorial offices. This manuscript was given negative reviews. What is more, the main drawback was the lack of any mention of the Communist Party. Children were not called to a class struggle, and imperialism was not considered a threat.
Не показує небезпеку імперіалізму.
In the end, thanks to the glory of the school in the village of Pavlish in Kirovohrad region went far beyond Ukraine, and delegations from abroad began coming there. Director of the German boarding school, Jürgen Pollen, saw Sukhomlynskiy's work and published it in Germany. For this misconduct, Sukhomlynskiy was called in to the higher authorities, and there a party reprimand was issued. But literally a year later, in 1969, almost 40 publishing houses printed this book and it was distributed in many foreign languages. Those ideas that he laid in their publication were brought to fruition in the deeds and thoughts of young teachers. My Heart I Give to Children impressed me profoundly, and I would say that to a certain extent, those thoughts that were 100% clear to us, perceiving them as our true conviction, must be conveyed to children and should be mutual. Everyone tried to implement his ideas in his practical work.
Ці його ідеї кожен намагався реалізувати в своїй практичній роботі. В якійсь мірі, мабуть, кожен вчитель, кожен директор хотів, щоб цей стиль зайшов і в його, скажімо, педагогічну.
To some extent, every teacher and every school principal dreamed that this teaching style would go into his pedagogical laboratory, in his pedagogical workshop, and that it would become common.
Це було не фальшиве.
In Sukhomlynskiy's lifetime, his work was criticized by the authorities. He was accused of directing the educational process to other guidelines, denying the role of collectivist education, and so on. Certain scholars accused the teacher of loss of scientific integrity. For this reason, Vasyl Sukhomlynskiy was compelled to face such confrontation for many years.
В плані його відносин із владою,
In terms of his relations with the authorities, he often concealed them and in some cases opposed them. In particular, during the Khrushchev thaw, he wrote an open letter in which he protested against the school reform, where students had to study in boarding schools starting from the age of 2. He considered this dangerous and irrational.
з дворічного віку, що він вважав і небезпечним, і необґрунтованим.
Vasyl Sukhomlynskiy was conscious of peculiar features of the country that he lives in. But for the sake of promotion of liberal thoughts, he was compelled to accept compromises with authorities and sometimes to adopt its rules of the game. Actually, Sukhomlynskiy was completely aware of the situation, and we should apply this knowledge to the reading of his work and the fact that there were some rules of the game.
Правила гри, зокрема, назви його робіт, компроміси, чисто формальні, на які він ішов, а для людей, які
For people who live in a free Ukraine and a free world, such speeches might seem unintelligible. Be that as it may, Sukhomlynskiy offered a number of propositions that sound completely modern.
Sukhomlynskiy запропонував цілий ряд таких речей, які звучать абсолютно сучасно. Це, очевидно, пов'язано з тим, що людська...
This is obviously connected with the fact that although many centuries have passed, human nature remains unchanged. Pedagogy remains an important branch and an eternal science, namely a science of research and education of the human soul.
Дослідження і виховання людської душі.
At the same time, he understood perfectly that the Soviet authorities were not interested in education of future generations to be grounded on universal values, and he felt constant indignation towards the attitude of officials to the sphere of education.
Залишилось немало його в особистому листуванні таких.
His personal correspondence left many examples of such sharp assessments. In particular, his letter to the professor of pedagogy, Kostyushkin, he said that in fact our system is managed by people who despise pedagogy.
Педагогічного корабля, ті, які просто ненавидять педагогіку.
They take the helm and then they all of a sudden abandon the whole system.
Кидають її і кидають нашу систему.
Vasyl Sukhomlynskiy was awarded the title of honored teacher and hero of socialist labor, was a candidate of pedagogical sciences, and was preparing to defend his doctoral thesis. But he didn't have enough time. His difficult earthly way closed in his 52nd year. But his contribution to world pedagogical science proved to be significant. His works were published not only in the former Soviet Union, but also in England, Spain, Germany, France, Poland, and Hungary. Furthermore, elements of his educational approach are implemented in today's educational systems of Finland and Japan.